So my dear Josie, I met Josie when I was 26, 25, 26, something like that. And I remember seeing her walking through Nature's on Division, and I thought, she's a really cool chick and I want to be her friend. And so we've been friends for a long time. And we used to do yoga together, and she's been a long and very, very dear friend. And once again, doing doTERRA together, we've, I think, become even closer friends because we spend hours making PowerPoints. and Josie,
I just say things and she makes the PowerPoints.
and Josie's another dear friend that back in the day, you know, I'm admitting all of my shyness. I was so excited about sharing doTERRA, but I was also shy, especially with my friend who's a doctor. And I said, hey, Josie, you gotta check out these oils. Hand it over to Josie, and let's give her a great round of applause.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I got the wrong water bottle. I already drank the first water. All right. So I just want to say one thing, kind of after John's amazing lecture. Thank you so much, John. See, I'm not the only wah-wah doctor. No, I'm kidding. Is that if I'm going to be so bold to say that if I were getting, because I've already had the testing, but if I were getting it again, the only gluten testing I would do or I would ever advise to anyone is with Cyrex Labs. And not all NDs or chiropractors or definitely MDs or any practitioners are aware of Cyrex Labs. And even if you go to the college, and NCNM or Bastyr, with other NDs, some of them will not, they're not even aware of it all of the time. So not only does Dr. Rose work with Cyrex Labs as well, her specialty is also with autoimmunity, and she used to be, she still is a chef caterer, but not as much. I mean, she's an amazing person to work with on all levels if this is at all something that you would like extra assistance with, and she's completely knowledgeable with doTERRA. So that's really why we wanted to put, I sort of said, oh my gosh, we have to give people a referral and some hope because we just kind of laid this gluten bomb on everyone. And you need to know that, yeah, there's some help, and that testing will really help you along if you choose to use it. All right. So, does everybody have the two postcards? They were in your book, so make sure you do. Tracy will help you. You can go out and get them, or she's right there if you don't have them, because this is what we're gonna. They're in your Magalog. I'm so excited about this, you guys. This is like 3 years in the making. Yeah, it's been a process. So I have been having this vision of daily wellness, and here it is. And I'm hoping in the next 45 minutes to take you through your first year of doTERRA. How's that? How's that sound? And this is how you are going to take anyone you choose to share doTERRA and the oils with through their first year of doTERRA. And we are all individuals, and we're all on our own path, so there is individuation and flexibility within this system. So what I'm going to go through is this idea that there is Essential Wellness Daily, and this is your introduction. Here's your starting point with doTERRA. I'm going to take you through that, and that's where you're going to start people gently and slowly introducing the oils in a very general way, and you can customize. And then you want to make sure in their Essential Wellness Daily, this is how you're going to know how toxic they are, because as Dana pointed out, you and anyone who's been in clinical practice will tell you sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not. You have no idea what's going on inside, here or here. And so you do need to start slow and gentle and you want to see what people's response are, not only to the oils and how their body is able to detox, their detoxification pathways, but most definitely with the LLV pack. Because what is so awesome is how powerful it is, but it's powerful. And I have seen it blown people away if you start them on the full dose. So we're going to talk about that, starting slow and easy. And once you have an idea that people can detox fairly well, and that their bodies are used to and gotten used to working with the oils and the LLV, then you can move into phase 2. Phase 2 is the doTERRA cleanse. We're going to talk about that. So here's the hope after the wheat bomb. Here's where, here's really the cleanse. It's not just a cleanse. It's really, in naturopathic medicine, we like to call this a dysbiosis protocol, which is now prettier. But the biome is just all the bugs, good, bad, and everything else of your whole GI tract, your gut, right? You're gonna see me do this. I like to point to the gut, and I also like to point to the liver. If you don't know, this is where the liver is, because there's a lot going on in those two places. So in the cleanse, this is where we're going to have a whole cleaning out / cleaning up of your biome, of your gut, and work through that. And that's a protocol phase. So first you just get settled in with daily wellness, and then when you know that you can go into a cleaning protocol phase, then you're gonna work with the cleanse, and we'll talk about how that can look. And that's gonna look very different for everybody. And that's an active protocol phase, and you work through that. And once you're done with that, you've done a lot of work. Things have have really shifted in a lot of ways in your life. Now you're ready for Essential Wellness Plus. This is kind of what we came up with, is all of us, Aisha, myself, Ariana, Erin, Diane, just people were hanging out and we're like, okay, what do we do? We've been working with doTERRA for 3 years. We want to let people know this is kind of an encapsulation of what it looks like after you get through essential daily wellness and the cleanse, and you're kind of at, we wanted to almost call it Essential Wellness Advanced, but we didn't want to put that on it, but it is. You're a little bit of a junkie, oil junkie, and you get a tolerance. I mean, it's in a funny way, your body is cleaner, it's able to process more detoxification, and it can move things through, so you can tolerate more oils, and you can move processes along, and you can basically collapse time and space in your healing process. That's this. Yeah. All right. So let's go. Whoop, whoop. I mean, come on. Do we really need daily wellness? Yeah? Who thinks we need daily wellness? Yeah, I know. I put this in. I was like, right? I mean, you can go along and you can just live your day, or you can live your day like this. No. This is how I want daily wellness, because I want to feel like this during my day and night. Yeah. So, okay, here's the hope. After the gluten bomb. Sorry, keep going back to I had half a hamburger at lunch with a bun. But I had Terrazyme with it. I'm going to talk about that. Okay. Epigenetics in science, there's all this, everyone's all excited. Basically, it's the big new science, and it just distills down to that, oh, right, what we do, how we live our life does affect our genes and our body. And the big deal is the genes. People are like, science always thought, well, you can affect your own life, your own disease process, but you can't change your genetic code, i.e., you can't change, if you have a tendency towards an autoimmune disease and you inherited that from your mom, you're gonna pass that on through your genes, and no matter how much you eat good stuff, no matter how many oils you rub and take in, you're not gonna change that. That's what science thought. They were wrong. Epigenetics, woohoo, is showing us that what we do during our lifetime changes our genetic code and what we pass on to our next generations. So this is the cool stuff. This is why we do what we're doing. All right, a little bit of Debbie Downer. No. 95% of cancers are not genetic in nature. It is estimated that 95% of all cancers result from damaged DNA. That used to be a Debbie Downer slide, but it's not anymore. Does that make sense to you guys? The fact that 95% of cancers come from our environment, from toxins, from what we are taking in, and we have the power with good nutrition and good plant medicine and other things that we do in our life to change not only our DNA, but then the other 5%. So it's really, it's very exciting when I start to think about all the power that we have in our hands with this medicine. So this concept was basically, I love it, from Laura Jacobs. Thank you, Laura. She's a wonderful teacher within doTERRA, and she's basically deduced the disease comes down to toxic cells and malnourished shells, and I think that's a wonderful concept for everybody to take home. Again, it has to do with we can change the patterning, and we can change this in our DNA and in our it's not just our DNA, in all of our processes in our body, and as we know, we can change our thought process as well. So Dr. David Hill, the Chief Medical Officer of doTERRA, he has said that cancer equals the absence of repair in our DNA. We need cellular protection every day, and essential oils can help us to protect. Essential oils can help your body to protect against damage to the DNA. And we will show this, we've seen this in studies, it's all over the place, that's exactly what many essential oils are doing. They are helping us to protect against damage to our DNA. So we know that 95% of cancers are caused by damage to the DNA. So I'm not gonna say it, but you can do some math. Right? That's okay. So I love this new slide. Sorry, I get really excited about I'm learning the whole thing. So this, I did come up with this, I think, kind of, the CPTG EO philosophy, right? Our essential oil philosophy, the therapeutic model of using these oils is small, frequent, daily doses. So this is what Essential Wellness, daily and plus, is about, is this idea of small, frequent, daily doses. And when you're doing this in your life, you are addressing all of these daily constants. These daily constants add up to working with malnourished cells and toxic cells and reversing that and any disease process. And when you are working with these small, frequent daily doses, you are now bringing into your life, sorry about that, immune support, nutrition, detoxification. You're helping with a good and active inflammatory response in your cells. You're bringing in hormone balance and stress management, all through small, frequent, daily doses. So let's look at our card. Here it is. We're going to talk first about LLV and then Terrazyme, because as you can see, I think it's the one thing that got left out, hopefully it's obvious, is the idea that the top row is AM and the bottom row is PM. That was the one thing that got left out with the edit. Next round, we'll put it in there. AM, PM, and then the middle row is, I didn't want to say lunch, it's daily, doing through the day kind of, okay? So that's the idea. So the idea is that you're going to be starting in the morning and in the evening, having a twice a day daily dose of LLV and Terrazyme. So let's get into this LLV. We've been talking about it, and I wanted to do something that I haven't seen us do yet, which was, put up the supplement fact on this, because I want to start talking about it in a little more detail. So how many people in here know that this multivitamin is a whole food supplement? Okay. Do we know what this means? Yeah, it does. Now, this cool thing down here, I don't know if you guys can read it. It says a patented fermented whole food complex. And when you look at the little in the parentheses, it's called glycoprotein matrix. And basically, it is a new form of a whole food complex. And it is made from Saccharomyces boulardii, which is brewer's yeast. And it is, I don't have any good way of talking about it. You can use metaphors. It's like a big complex of a slurry it's a probiotic. So I don't know if you know that, but so probiotic is a good gut bug, and it's an active enzyme. And what they do is they feed into this probiotic enzyme substrate of nutrients, and it digests the nutrients. And the best way to call this, that's why they can technically call it a fermented whole food, is that digestion process is a fermentation process. And in so doing, with that fermentation, what it is doing, it's rendering the end product, which are these vitamins, into a bioavailable state that is just remarkable for us in our body. This is another actual living organism fermenting our food, and we are then digesting it and able to absorb these nutrients in a fermented state. This is what makes this is one of the things, I'm going to say this a lot for a couple of the different things, one of the things that makes the LLV so remarkable and so digestible and so easily assimilatable for us. One of the things I like to say is you are not what you eat, you are what you absorb. And that is truly a true thing when people start to experience the difference with the LLV, yeah? So this is the first, the LLV is these 3 different supplements. The first is this whole food nutrient complex that is this fermented whole food complex. And then I want to point out that it has a proprietary whole food blend. So there's also a blend of broccoli, spirulina, the brewer's yeast, kelp, algae, and that oatgrass powder, which is not glutenful. In there. There's an active enzyme blend, so on top of the fact of it being very bioavailable for us, they also put in active enzymes, and then they put that doTERRA tummy tamer blend, which are added peppermint leaf, ginger root, and caraway seed. Wonderful digestives for us, yeah? So you can start to see why this stands out in terms of people's ability to digest and absorb, and feel a difference from this complex. One of the things I want to point out that it is back to folate. So if that's an issue for people, it's now from folic acid, yeah, it's folate. And if you're gonna be comparing, I also want to point out that the amounts are small compared to a lot of other multivitamins. And this is when you're comparing synthetic nutrients to whole food nutrients in a supplement, you can't compare them. They're apples and oranges. So none of the data that we have from any nutritional school, science, anything, naturopathic school, it's all on synthetic vitamin levels, different absorbability rates, all of this, they're not whole food. So when you've learned, I need to take 800 milligrams of folate, because I have L-methylfolate, I have a MTHFR gene SNP. If you don't know what I'm saying, don't worry about it, some people do. Then that 800, or I need 1,000 milligrams of calcium, right? These kind of numbers that are kind of familiar, all on synthetic nutrients. So when you have whole food nutrients, they are much more bioavailable to your body. You don't need the large amounts. And there's a wonderful man named Royal Lee who started the first whole food supplement company, Standard Process. If you read his literature from the 40s, he railed against synthetic nutrients. And he really made a case that when you take too much, our body doesn't know how to absorb them and what to do with them. And when you take them into their body, bad things happen. It's not just okay, I'm gonna pee them out with B vitamins. So I really, it's another level to the LLV and the microplex VMZ to start to see these smaller levels of the nutrients. and then also the clinical data of what we get back to people and how people are responding and how phenomenal they are. More is not better. That's American concept that we don't need to continue. So that's something to kind of put in your brain when if you want to compare. All right, so I'm going to put that down. So that is the first of the LLV, the microplex. The XEO mega, I think they call it Z mega for short. This is an amazing formulation. So when I first started looking at the LLV, I looked at this and I said, whoa, I haven't seen anything like this in naturopathic formulations at all, ever. And so what they're doing is not only are they giving you 1,000 milligrams of fish concentrate in that really good ratio of EPA DHA from fish oil. So these are small fish, microdistilled fish. You want the small ones, you don't want the big ones, you want the good sardines. They're putting in these amounts of lutein, zeaxanthin, and lycopene. Those are all the things you really, for eye health, that's the really good stuff against glaucoma and eyes getting worse. And we definitely hear about people working with doTERRA, starting to get on the LLV and use Immortel around the eye and having amazing, anyone here having amazing eye situations, shifting? That's one of the reasons. So those are put in the Z omega rather than in the whole food complex. Then you have your alpha and beta carotene, and they also have natural carotenoids in the microplex. But this thing Astapure, which is astaxanthin, this is the algae that krill eat, and I've talked about this before. It's the second highest thing that they've ever measured on the ORAC scale. It's it's the second highest, biggest, best, bad baby antioxidant. And it's what people rave about with krill oil. Well, doTERRA is not taking the krill out of the ocean. They're leaving them in for the whales, thank you. And they're growing it in the desert. And it's really neat when you see there's some slides about how they're growing it, and it's green. And what happens with this algae is when the sunlight hits it, you know how too much sun is bad for us? It is actually oxidation. It's kind of not good. And so what the algae does is it turns red in response as antioxidant turns on, kind of like this antioxidant process. And that's what makes it such an amazing antioxidant. And so they take it in the turned on way from the desert, red, and that's why you'll see that your Z omega capsule is this beautiful red color. Yeah, that is that astaxanthin in there. And they're adding that in and giving you that extra antioxidant. Now, they're putting this amazing marine blend with the land blend. So they're also giving you flax and borage, which is very important. Did anyone here see my hormone presentation? Right, those yucky xenoestrogens, we want to kind of bind them up and all that. These have GLA, which is a really great omega oil for us, and they're in the flax and borage, and so that's really important for that being there and for binding up the xenoestrogens. And then they also have cranberry seed and pomegranate. It's a wonderful kind of mix, you kind of know just one thing is usually not the best. It's that synergy when you have a couple different, and this is definitely true here. And then we have natural vitamin D, and it's very important when you have vitamin E to have these mixed tocopherols, and then them be natural source. And when you have synthetic vitamin E, it's actually really crappy. So they have that. And then, as if that's not enough, they put in the essential oil blend. So Dr. Hills talked about this blend, and this blend is specifically cardioprotective. That was what it was blended for. And the other neat thing is that they've done pretty interesting studies, and they've shown that when you have essential oils in with the marine and the flaxseed, these omega oils, and omega oils are very, we call it labile. They're very tender. You can't cook with them. You don't want to expose them to heat or light, right? They will oxidize very quickly. So they need preservatives. They need high preservatives. That's why if you buy, you have to very, very be careful where you buy your supplementation of your fish oils from, any omega oils, because I don't know the numbers, high levels of them get rancid. Yeah, and the flax too. When you put in the essential oils, they rose up to is like a 50% level against rancidity. Is amazing. They're amazing natural preservative, of course, right? That makes sense. They're essential oils. So the fact that they have the natural vitamin E in there and the essential oils, it's a natural preservative. They don't have to put any synthetic preservatives in. So this is the Z omega. You start to see why it's different, why people are having such remarkable responses, and I haven't even gotten to the alpha CRS yet. So then, and it was Aisha who made me look at this blend, because I love the oils for, I don't know, it was at least 6 months before I was like, no, I don't want to look at any more supplements. I have enough, I know supplements. And she's like, please, will you just check them out for me? And so then, and I never thought of myself as a square, but that was a good one. If you know what I'm talking about. So then I looked at this and I was really blown away. So I was pretty excited about the first two. And then I was like, wow. So let me tell you about antioxidant blends. Usually on the market, they're in the price point of, they're expensive. They're the expensive things. The fish oils are usually maybe about $50 to $70, a good one, retail. And then these guys go anywhere. They start at 50 for really low-end ones, and then a decent blend is going to take you up to 75 to 90 or 120 for a decent, like a high-end antioxidant blend. And usually what they'll do is they'll pick about 4 top ingredients, and then they'll stuff it with a lot of cheap cofactors. So when I saw this, I said, wow. Look at the amounts, 200 milligrams, 150, 100 milligrams, 50. These are decent amounts of their top things. And then you look down, so I'm looking at the top 4 ingredients, and then I'm looking at in the cellular blend, 100, 150. I was like, okay, these are bioactive levels, first of all. And then let me start to tell you, when you in natural medicine, there are 3 things that are considered the top anti-inflammatories. It is basically boswellia, which is frankincense. It's curcumin from turmeric, and it's resveratrol. And resveratrol in the family of what we call the OPCs, oligomeric proanthocyanidins. These are the grapeseed extract, the pine bark extract, and then the resveratrol, which is the polygonum cuspidum. So they have 3 of them in here. Those are the top level, the best you can do. And usually you're only going to see 1 in a formula. Or that formula will just be all OPCs, and it'll be a blend, and it'll be about 100 milligrams of OPCs, right? And we have 50, 60, 70, 77 of just OPCs, and that's only the first 3 ingredients, and there's 19 here. Anyways, so you got that 200, that's huge, of boswellia. So these are the gum resins. This is what doesn't make it into frankincense. So in our frankincense oil, we don't get the gum resins. All the studies on frankincense are done on the gum resins. When they talk about all the things, except if it's specifically the essential oil, which when you look at the regular literature, it's not. The gum resins is where you see all that anti-inflammatory activity. And doTERRA knows this, and this is why it's the biggest ingredient in alpha CRS, okay? Gosh, I want to say more in my, all right, I'm gonna say something. So John talked about those cytokines. Do you guys remember the cytokines, right? Cytokines, that's inflammation in your body. When you feel foggy in your head, when you're like, what's that word? Where is it? It's right in the tube. That's a cytokine in your brain called NF-kappa beta. And that puppy gets turned on as you age. And the scientific research, I don't believe it, because they don't know about the oils. They're saying once it gets turned on, your body doesn't know how to turn it off. But that was a couple years ago. That was like 5 years ago when I was studying a lot of other stuff. What we've now found is that the alpha and beta pinene in the essential oils turn off NF-kappa beta, okay? So one of the things I found when I was looking into frankincense, and we know how amazing it is for our brain, is that it only had 10% of these sesquiterpenes. I was like, what? These are the ones that help to go cross the blood-brain barrier, right? the sesquiterpenes. This is the frankincense. It's our main brain one. How can it only have 10% of sesquiterpenes? It's at the low end. Well, it's the highest of all the oils in alpha and beta pinene. It's about 45%. So when you put that 10 and that 45% and you start to see the synergy of the frankincense oil, you start to see why it is incredible for our brain health and turning off that NF-kappa beta, the icky cytokine that gives us brain fog. So does the gum resin. So it's in the gum resin. I'm coming back to here, which is the scutellaria. Scutellaria, main herb in Chinese medicine, right? It's adaptogenic. This is unnerving. It really helps calm our nervous system and help us go from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. Yeah? Milk thistle. If there's one thing you're going to take for your liver, it's that. Amazing for our liver. I'm going to go through. There's things called phase 1 and phase 2. I'm just giving little tidbits for people who know different things. If you're into autoimmunity, you're like, oh my God, phase 1, I don't want too much phase 1 or I'm sorry, too much, yeah, like raising and working with your liver and your phase 1 or your phase 2 and working with Th1 and Th2. So let me tell you that a lot of the things I've talked about raise your phase 1 in your liver, but it's important to work with the other detox pathway in your liver, which is phase 2, and that's what green tea leaf extract does, and that's what curcumin extract. Those are very important to balance out those two parts of your liver detoxification. Because if you don't want to just have a formula that has just one and not the other. So that's part of what makes this formula so balanced. I'm going to go on now, the cellular energy blend. We've talked about the mitochondria. You need food to help turn on and keep your mitochondria clean and running. It's the battery of our cell. It's what gives you energy. And these processes start to get, gunky and tired. And acetyl L-carnitine, alpha-lipoic acid, CoQ10, quercetin, all of these things are amazing for the mitochondria, and that's why it's called the cellular energy blend. And then we have the tummy tamer in there. So this is a powerful blend. So let me see what I have over the, okay. So part of my deal is what I usually recommend to people with essential wellness daily is to start at the half dose. I don't usually start people at the full dose unless I've taken a full history or if you really know that person, and I wouldn't make many assumptions. I just say for the first 2 months, just do the bottle at the half dose. That means taking 1 pill of each bottle, AM and PM. The full dose is 2 pills of each bottle, AM and PM. Start people off, if you just want a simple formula with doTERRA, start people at the half dose for the first 2 months. It's gonna save you a couple of headaches where if this alone can blow someone away who has a lot of, they could be toxic in a lot of different ways, you guys. As Dina talked about, some with addiction. It could be just their gut is down. They could have problems with their phase 1 or their phase 2 detoxification pathways, and they don't even know that. A lot of things. So that's the recommendation, is starting with I'm gonna keep it over here. The half and half, okay? And then Terrazyme. I used to think, way back when, 15 years ago, that, oh my gosh, we don't all need digestive enzymes. If you eat, and I also didn't think when I was graduating from naturopathic school that everyone needed supplements like the LLV. I have very much changed my opinion on that. And the world has changed in 15 years, a lot. Our food and our environment has changed drastically, our levels of toxicity, and frankly, our gluten and our wheat. It's been in about the last 20 years. It's been big in 50, and then it's shifted. And so I very much, that supplementation of LLV for everybody, even if you are the 1%. And by the 1%, I mean the Portland 1%. Where, when you go out to eat, going out to the fast food means you go to Harlow. And you get like a green juice, and your vegan meal. And when you have a burger, you're going for like a $15 grass-fed burger. Even if you're doing that, you still need supplementation for, you've seen me given, I'm not going to go into it, all the reasons of toxicity. So the Terrazyme is an amazing blend. I wanted to bring this up. Do you guys realize everything that is in here? The protease for breaking down the peptides, amino acids, so that's all for protein. Amylase is for carbohydrates. Lipase is for fats. But then they go beyond this. There's one specifically for lactase, for working with milk sugars in milk and dairy. There is the alpha-galactidase, which is, I don't know, it's for legumes. So this is for people who have problems with more of the brassica and all the kind of like farting from broccoli. You know, or basically just raw food, right? If your digestion has difficulty in the wintertime, when it's cold, or cold foods and salads and more raw foods, and that basically is happening when your digestion is not that strong, that's gonna, Terrazyme in general is necessary and going to help. But you have also cellulase, a different one to help with vegetables, sucrase specifically for different kinds of sugar. And then they put specific anti-gluten enzyme blends in there. And my experience with Terrazyme is it's quite strong as compared to other enzymes that I've worked with and seen in the past and continue. Ones when I would use 2, I only need to use for people 1 Terrazyme. Some people need 2, but I would start people off slowly with 1 with each meal and then work your way up. Everyone's different with their situation. So, and really as a daily with your meals. All right. So, in our daily wellness, so you've gone through, you've had your LLV, and you've had breakfast, and you've had your Terrazyme with your breakfast. So my, this model is basically this simplicity of saying there's about 5 oils in someone's first few months. I'm gonna say somewhere between the 1st through the 6th month of working with doTERRA, and it really depends. That you would want a concept, and these oils are not, sometimes they're specific oil and sometimes it's a concept that you'd want to introduce to someone. Sometimes, as Dana has talked about, there's some real simplicity. You have someone go home and they start with a half a dose of the LLV, some lemon in their water, and balance. That's it. Okay, that could be like a serious, or just a one oil that is specific to meeting their chief complaint and their needs. But if in a very general situation, you start off with the half dose of the LLV, Terrazyme with meals, and you're going to introduce the concept of On Guard. On Guard it's general immunity, right? This is boosting our immune system and keeping us safe. I think we're all familiar with it. I'm not going to go into it in detail. My version of daily wellness is to introduce On Guard 2 ways to people in the beginning, is on their feet and diffusing. And then you can work into other ways, capsules, orally, on the tongue, in the water, different things like that. But in the beginning, I love the concept of taking the opportunity. You've heard me say this, right? You got to put you got bare feet in the beginning of the morning, and you got it when you go to bed. Take that opportunity to slap on some oils. So the On Guard's where you're gonna, so that's the morning, I say. On Guard on the feet. And if they're, the diffuser might be a lot, but then you could bring in the idea of diffusing. But really it's just, in the beginning, On Guard on the feet, right? So now we're going to daily. The idea of during the day. We need cellular protection every day, right? That's how it works. Small, frequent, daily doses. So Dr. Hill brought in this idea of D-limonene and linalool. D-limonene is, where do we find it? Citrus, yeah. Where do we find linalool? Lavender, great. By the way, what is that, BTW? We also find it, does anyone know where we find linalool also? Dr. Hill has said these are your 2, if you do, he said this for a couple things, if you do nothing else, every day, your main health, D-limonene and linalool. This is what you want to focus on. So the first place is citrus and lavender, but doTERRA's basil. The way doTERRA, CPTG, the way it's grown, the way it's chosen, and it's different from anyone else's basil. Other basils do not have high linalool. doTERRA's basil is high in linalool. This is a wonderful one also to be putting on your feet, over the adrenals. I like little in the belly button. And also coriander, doTERRA's coriander. So just those are little FYIs. So glutathione, it's our highly important antioxidant within our cells. It's a great chelator of heavy metals and crucial for protection against our toxic metabolites. Glutathione, you can't just take you noticed it wasn't in the alpha CRX, right? It wasn't like glutathione. You can't just take it in, it's this big fat molecule. Your body has to basically make it, and it's a crucial part. Remember I talked about that phase 1, phase 2 in your liver, crucial in almost all of our detoxification pathways. So to have something so beautiful as these citrus oils that helps our body to upregulate and to produce more of its own glutathione, awesome. This is gentle detoxification in your liver all day long. And so I loved kind of getting that info broken down, and FYI, so wild orange is 70% delimiting. I'm sorry, hold on, let me get this right. Nope, lemon. Lemon is 70% delimiting, wild orange is 90, and grapefruit is 98. It's almost pure delimiting. They're all fantabulous. I like to rotate them around just for fun and to have different flavors and tastes, but if you wanted to know that breakdown, there it is. In all these things, removing petrochemicals from our fat cells, stimulating white blood cells, alkalizing the body, helping to balance the blood pressure, uplifting the spirit. This is why it's daily wellness. And someone said thank you in the bathroom. It was great. It was for the wasp. I love Voss. Here, I don't work with the company, but there's $4. You get it in the grocery store. It's glass. If you break it, you just go get another one. It's the best, cheapest. Yep, water bottle. And I fill 3 of these up a day. That's about half my body weight, as you can notice on the back of the card, of the cleanse card, where we talked about hydration formula. Divide your weight by 2, drink that number in ounces of filtered water daily. Oh my gosh, that's so simple. Add in 3 to 5 drops of your favorite citrus oil per 20 to 30 ounces of water. This guy's about 24, so right there. I just get it, and I aim for 3, and I mostly get 5. You know how that is with the citruses, right? They're really thin. So there you go. 3 times a day, boom, done. Oh, and there it is. Whoop. And then lemon sassy. So that's the middle, right? The metabolic blend. We've talked, this oil, I really like to talk about it as the metabolic blend because we found that it works with your whole hormone systems, your whole endocrine systems for everybody, men, women, there's no specificity here. It is the essential oil blend. Think about it. Ginger, cinnamon, peppermint, lemon, grapefruit, right? So in the beginning, oh my God, I didn't do the thing oh good, I'm thirsty, I'm gonna do it. Ready? So in the beginning, I go like this. I teach people, put your finger over, whoop, oh, I don't wanna do that, and taste it, right? You can bring it to the top of your mouth. That's how you wanna start. You want a small dose, that's like half a drop. When you get to the other side, maybe I should wait. I'm gonna wait. This is the beginning. No, I'll do it now. What you do is I have people look in the mirror first. Your first dose of dosing with lemon sassy, look in the mirror. No, really, it helps to not like get the massive dose, and you try and aim for one drop. Oh, I got 1 or 2. Okay. But you go in the mirror, and that's how you'll see some of us, and we're like, ah. Okay. But it can be in your water. I like separating my citrus oils from my lemon sassy. Some people like bringing them together. You can there's this lemon sassy capsules. I don't think we have the slide, but you can take it in a capsule now. There's lots of different ways to work with it. That idea is 2 to 5 drops, 2 to 5 times a day. So if you're beginning, I just have people start to bring it in twice a day in different ways, and sometimes it can be as much as just this. Boop. And taking it in. It really, you can be flexible on that one. That's the full dose. No, that's fine. So you hear how you talk about therapeutic windows. So if you're really trying to shift a situation.
Yeah, shift is all right.
Yeah, great, yes. Losing weight, working with your sleep, working with the endocrine system. The high dose, the full dose, is 5 drops 5 times a day. So that's 25 total. Yeah. And eventually, you pull back from that. And you get into kind of a maintenance dose. Okay. Oh, there it is. Got to keep up with my slides. So, right, you can have it in water. You can work with it. Or there's the soft gels. And now, so the balance bottle really stands for emotional support. So it could be anything. It could be anything you choose it to be. I suggest, if you're beginning, just stick with the mood oils. So our mood oils are balance, serenity, citrus bliss, elevation, and in tune. Wonderful place to start. doTERRA knows what they're doing. These are beautiful blends, and there's incredible synergy to them. So and sometimes, balance the grounding blend. Serenity, calming, citrus bliss, invigorating, elevation, joyful, in tune, focus. You listen to what's going on, and sometimes it'll say, oh, it sounds like this might be something. Why don't you try this? Or I have really, with a lot of patients, people say, I don't know. I open the bottles and I say, what smells good to you? And it's really interesting and surprising because you have no idea what someone's going to resonate with. So that's a wonderful place to start too. Let someone choose an oil. And then this is for topical. So it's really about, right, I say take the opportunity. If you're going to go to the trouble of getting that bottle of oil out, putting it on your wrists, you should breathe in at least 3 times. Take a third one, 3 deep breaths. You're also getting that nice inhalation and filling your lungs with air and getting in some nice pranayama breath. All right. And that's as needed. Carry those in your purse, carry them in your back pocket, your wallet, whatever men do. Their man purse. And, right, keep it in your car. Use it. It becomes like your best friend. And then sleep. So the last oil is for sleep support. Start with lavender and move, and that's always the first place to start. And so again, just like on guard, on the feet. And when you're doing it on the feet, you're also doing it on your hands. And then you're smelling, and get that nice smelling. If sleep is an issue, you might upgrade it to also diffusing in the room. And then you can move from lavender to serenity, and then you can move from serenity and, that's on the other page, to layering with vetiver. Okay? So what do you guys think of this concept? Right? Like starting place. Yeah. Of course, there's going to be specificities, right? You're going to talk to someone and they have something different going on, and okay, you can bring that in, but this is pretty general for almost everybody. So that's the idea of this being having immunity, support for the immune system, support for the liver, for detoxification, for helping the hormone system, metabolism, the mood, and balancing sleep. I'm the best sleeper in the world. It's my greatest talent, and and I put on oils every single night because you know what? I want it to stay that way. That's right. I don't want that to start changing. I support my good sleep. And then we work with the nourishing the cells and the digestion. All right. So this is exciting. When we start to look at the cleanse, it's not that different. Oh my gosh, look, we've already talked about the LLV. We've talked about Slim and Sassy. We've talked about Terrazyme. So you start to see the daily wellness is basically the precursor. You're setting people up for success to go through a cleanse. You're getting their body used to already gentle cleansing with the Slim and Sassy, with the lemon in their water, with the vitamins. That's more than 99.9% of, 8% of the population do all the, anywhere, anytime, right there. And if they've had a reaction, you've backed off and you've worked slowly with it already with the daily wellness. So by the time you're going to take someone through a more specific protocol like this cleanse, they should be ready for it. You should know if they've had a skin eruption. The skin eruption, most of the time, after someone has started to working with the oils, is that there is something going on with their detoxification pathways and their liver, their kidneys, and their colon. Those are the big, and that shows up most of the time in the skin. And so you have to step back and look at that a little and work with that. You can either refer them to someone to work with them as you work with doTERRA, or you can feel confident with your ability, depends on where you are as a wellness advocate, to work with them and kind of start figuring it out. So by the time you're ready for the cleanse, you're going to have them, as you notice, the entire time they're going to be taking the top 5 things. So for 30 days, you're going to be taking the LLV twice a day. You're going to be working, we didn't put the specificities, and we go through a whole cleanse class. So this is more the concept. I'm going to go through quickly here. This isn't, the purpose of this isn't for me to go through an entire, exactly what you do in a cleanse. You're going to have people taking Slim and Sassy through the day. You're going to be having them work with Terrazyme. And so what I usually do is with the Terrazyme, I up that. If that person's only been taking 1 with a meal, I have them take 2 with the meal. Each meal. And now let's start to talk about Zendocrine and Zendocrine. The Zendocrines. Here's the new formula. It's really, I don't like change, and I was like, no, they're changing it. I love Zendocrine, but I was like, I love it more. The tangerine, it's yummier, right? It's absolutely better and yummier and works better. The tangerine is incredibly delicious, and it works like the other citrus oils. The juniper berry is specific for helping our kidney and urinary tract support. It's a gentle diuretic. It's incredible for helping the urinary tract. So that is the bladder, the kidney, and the kidneys, and with that process of cleansing. Cilantro is pretty specific as a heavy metal chelator. Geranium works on everything. I mean, lymphatic stimulant, liver, kidney tonic, hormone balancer. We love her. And rosemary. Rosemary, liver decongestion and decreases cortisol. By the way, remember that alpha and beta pinene? Talked about that with frankincense. So guess what's next on the list of the next highest 2 things in alpha and beta pinene? It has the highest alpha and beta pinene. Rosemary and eucalyptus. Guess what they're in? On guard. You start to see these themes, right? Like daily frankincense, daily alpha and beta pinene. So you're getting it daily in that on guard, those alpha and beta pinenes with the rosemary and eucalyptus. So Zendocrine, there's a couple ways you can work with Zendocrine. During the cleanse, we like to take it internally, because we are, we're pushing it. We're doing a protocol. So in this one, and you'll see it in the Essential Wellness Plus, I like to work with it a lot on the bottoms of my feet for hormone balance and for liver support. I do that during a cleanse on the bottom of the feet, but then also internal digestion. And we used to put it in a capsule, and now doTERRA makes a capsule. So that is great. But we just put the bottle there because you can buy the bottle and be making your own capsules, putting it on the feet, or you can choose to do what you want to do. And then the complex. I wanted to bring this up too because most people have no idea what's in the Zendocrine complex. I love this product of theirs. Look at everything that is in Zendocrine. Now, a couple things are repeated, but you can see the targeted organ, and it really is a proprietary blend of whole food extracts and a patented enzymes delivery system. So that's not here. They actually put in all these enzymes in with it. So it's not just these herbs bottled up in a capsule. They actually have an enzyme delivery complex in there so that it's helping your body to assimilate and digest them in a much deeper way. Supporting the liver, kidneys, colon, lungs, and skin. These are all of our emunctories. These are our pathways that we need to keep open and clear as we cleanse, or you're gonna get bummed out, literally. No. You're gonna get a skin, all the things that happen that are the bad things that happen with a cleanse. Headache, rash, too much coming out, getting constipated. All those things are because your pathways of elimination, your emunctories, are not open and clear and working correctly. So, barberry leaf, milk thistle, burdock, clove bud, dandelion, garlic fruit, red clover leaf, Turkish rhubarb, psyllium seed husk, gum arabic, marshmallow root, osha, safflower petals, kelp. This is a beautiful blend herbally, all of these different ones supporting the pathways. I have found it's very supportive but gentle, and you can use a lot of these. I would recommend, I even do 2-3 times a day as the starting place. So it's one of the, unless you know something specific about the person who's very sensitive and very reactive, then you'd start with 1-3 times a day. I almost start with 2-3 times a day to really make sure that I am helping to support those pathways in a cleanse. And then these are the heavy hitters. This is, all this other stuff is kind of getting your body ready. You're nourishing the cells, excuse me, with the LOV, and then you're working with the digestion and the detoxification, now with the slim and sassy, the zendocrine and the pathways. Now you're ready to do the heavy lifting, which is the GX Assist. The GX Assist is the killer. This is what kills off parasites, bacterias, bad gut bugs, all the things that create a dysbiotic situation. Definitely candida, everyone talks about that, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes on. So that blend is oregano, manuka, lemon, lemongrass, peppermint, thyme, and it's a blend of caprylic acid, which is another wonderful competitor to help weed out the bad guys, the bad gut bugs. And what a lot of us have found is this is a potent blend, but compared to other herbal gut killers, I don't know what else to call it, that I've worked with, and I've done a lot of work with them in the past. It's gentle. It's a beautiful mix. People can have reactions to it, and that will just give you information, and that's where the complexity of the cleanse comes in. And you just back off. So I usually start people on the first day with 1 to 2 capsules, and I see how they do, and if they do okay, I go up to the full dose, which is 1-3 times a day for 10 days. If they don't do okay, then you back off and you reconsider. So if we're going with the general trend, you then do that 3 times a day for 10 days, and then you follow up with the PB Assist, which is doTERRA's probiotic. This is 6 strains of probiotics, which is a nice combination. You don't just want 1 or 2. And it's in this unique double-layer delivery system. Now, 5 billion CFUs of active culture is kind of a middle-of-the-road dosage. Again, it's really similar to the idea of whole food versus synthetic vitamins. When you don't have a good delivery system to get your probiotic through the stomach, acid, and into the small intestine, you need high doses. You need to be up there in the 20 billion because most of them, they get killed by all the stomach acid. We don't have a picture. Oh yeah, you can see them. They look like Martian ones. It's really, it's great. It's chlorophyll in there. It's actually pretty cool. It's not green dye. And it's a double encapsulation. And the inside is the probiotics in this little capsule. And then it has a double one on the outside. And the in-between liquid is the food for the guys. So when it breaks open, it gets it through the stomach acid, breaks open, and the probiotics have their food, which is called FOS. Yeah, that's what's in the middle part. So this is an incredible process and cleanse. It's wonderful to go through. And for the first time, we're all individuals and we start in different places, and so people can have different reactions. But what we like to say, if you start to look now at the Essential Wellness Plus, you've gone through that first cleanse, you've worked through some of the difficulties, now you're ready to really start working at a different level, a higher level, and you'll notice how in the little circle I say 30-day cleanse yearly or quarterly. Some of us in that first year, there's more intense healing situations that need to happen, and people can go through with Lyme. People go through what's equivalent to on and off a cleanse. They'll use different things that are similar to GX Assist of that level power, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, for years. Some people with other processes, with digestive processes, they'll go through and they'll do this cleanse monthly or every other month for periods of time. Just giving you an idea, these are more therapeutic windows in more serious situations. In an average situation, you might see someone doing it yearly or quarterly, so that's somewhere in between. Does that make sense? Okay, adding that in. So let's start to look at Essential Wellness Plus. So we had to put an On Guard toothpaste because we love it and we all use it. We're like, oh, did we like to put it down there? I'm like, we all use it. So there it is. Now, what I forgot to do is, this is why I have this up here, you guys. I want to show you, just because I don't want to assume anything, because I went through naturopathic school in 15 years of taking vitamins. I'm not like, I'm going to pantomime, and I'm not kidding, like this. I did it. I didn't like it that much. My friend showed me 2 weeks ago. I'm not kidding. I'm like, what? How did I not know this? It's like a revolution in my life, so I am always ever going to teach everybody and all my classes this. I'm going to do it every single time. I'm going to take, this is a half dose, because I already took my other dose today, of the LLV. I got 6 capsules here. Really? So, I don't know. Is that a revelation to anyone? Tucking your chin? Okay. Maybe I was left out of the party. You're still gonna come across some people who are left out of the party, so let them know that when you take a cat, because this is, people think you gotta open this is closing your airway actually. It's just like, yoga, we call it Tadasana. Like, imagine there's a string here and you're just lifting up, or all you have to say is tuck your chin. Get the water in your mouth, get the capsules, and I've done it with 12 now. Never could I do that before. I was doing like 3 to 4 at most. Now I can take 12 at a time. It's ridiculous. You just put them in your mouth, you tuck your chin, and you just go, and they just go down. Anyways, if you didn't know that, it's gonna change your life with the LOV. I promise you, change mine. What? I know. And you don't have a hit I know. But it's so delicious with all the lemon. I get my favorite, here's one of my take-homes. My favorite recipe is, I do juniper berry and grapefruit. Yeah, that's delicious. That's my favorite in my water. Yeah. I'm lazy, I just kind of do a couple drops. All right, so you see here, take immediately before AM and PM meal. We're on the Essential Wellness Plus. Lifelong Vitality, DDR, and Terrazyme. Right, now that you can tuck your chin, you can take all of that at once easily. All right? So, I get to talk about DDR now. Woo! Right, because we haven't gone through that. So DDR is part of that wellness when we talked about changing the DNA and making sure that our DNA has cellular repair. DDR is huge with this, you guys. This is, if you don't have this, it is as important as the LLV. I don't start, as you noticed, it's not in the daily wellness. It's more important to get your digestion working correctly first, but then you kick in with the DDR. Absolutely important, twice a day with the LLV. This is, and the highlighted ingredients I have here is clove and thyme. And when you look at the breakdown between, we've gone over this a lot before, preventing damage to the DNA, frankincense, thyme, lemongrass, healthy apoptosis, that's letting cells die, cells that are unhealthy that need to die, let them die, no codependency. Lemongrass, clove, neoli, and then oxidative stress. orange, and some are savory. And one of the things, so from Daily Wellness, that in my research with the hormones and hormone balancing, is how important time is. Time is one of our huge regulators for progesterone, helping us with progesterone support. And so for me, when I think there's all this other, every time you learn a new oil and a new herb, you learn about that. But I really my big take home with DDR is frankincense and thyme. And I think about all the things I know about frankincense and how it's helping my nervous system, and it's helping me with my foggy head and my autoimmunity. And then I think about thyme and progesterone support and hormone balance. And this was a great study that they showed specifically on DDR, where tumor cells that block the immune response, that DDR stopped those tumor cells from blocking the immune response, and it inhibited angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is when the tumor builds pathways of blood vessels, and that's how tumors grow and are fed. And when you can cut off the blood vessels to a tumor, basically a tumor dies. So not only did DDR stop the tumor in doing its bad work of what the tumor was doing, it was blocking the immune cells from being able to fight the tumor, it also inhibited the blood vessels. So it was it's basically killing off tumors. All right, so I'm gonna go off to the next, all right? Brushing your teeth with On Guard, taking your LLV, DDR, and Terrazyme in that first with your AM meal. We were like, okay, we love the Virage system. Are people using that? Yeah. It's if you haven't, you're gonna be in trouble. It's amazing. It's what we were waiting for. It's quite delicious. And the Virage serum, almost everyone is out of it. Yeah, because it's Immortel, the blend of Immortel in this L22 base, which is olive oil, jojoba oil, and macadamia nut. And it's in this large amount. Most cosmetics will only put a couple percent, like 2% in, and then fill it up with other stuff. This is the whole thing, and then with the full Immortel. We put the Immortel bottle in there. You're still welcome to I still slather on more Immortel. But so really bringing in that and or some of this face care is what most of us are doing. And then Clary, Calm, and Whisper. Whisper didn't fit on the slide, but we want to include it. So it's really, I don't know if you guys know this, but doTERRA, that was their hormone balancing blend before they came out with Clary, Calm. Whisper is really lovely, and it's just as good. It's different, so it's nice to have that variation. So that's that idea. You start to being able to have variation and work with either Clary, Calm or Whisper. And I do it daily, AM and PM. Roll a little bit on my fingers behind my ears. I roll it on my lower abdomen and rub it in with my wrists. And I keep it with all of my Virage stuff, and it's just there, AM and PM. And so that's part of that, my advanced essential wellness. And then we wanted to put in, so look at here, back of the neck. I do that every day in the morning. I put on after my skincare. I work with the Clary Calm, and then I get playful, but pretty much sometimes it's in tune, sometimes it's frankincense, sometimes it's other things that I'm working around with, but it's usually something high in alpha and beta pinene or the sesquiterpenes, and I'm putting it in the back of my neck. Sometimes it's elevation, and sometimes it's a funky blend. I just don't know, but I'm definitely doing something to support my mood and my neurochemistry and my brain in the morning and the evening. And then layering on the feet. So what I like to take, the first step is On Guard, and then I move people to the concept of 3 oils on the bottom of your feet. On Guard, Zendocrine oil, and DDR oil. And really having that flexibility. There are mornings when I layer all 3. I'm feeling like, oh, I need some support. And I sit there, and I actually sit on my toilet, and I just go one, and then the other, and then I go back and do the one, and I go through all 3. Most of the times it's 2, and I pick them, and I just kind of, depending on what's going on, if I feel like I want more immune support, it's On Guard. More detox liver support, Zendocrine. DDR, that's just more kind of like, I don't know. I just feel it, and I'm like, I need DDR. And that's kind of that baseline. Welcome to bring in other, we have oil of choice, your favorite, right? Other things, but that's a baseline. And then during the day, keeping up with the citrus in the water, slim and sassy. So then this is what the plus slim and sassy user looks like. Okay. I need it. And really, at least take a week to work up to that. Don't do that right off the bat to someone. Get a little bigger. Continue with the Terrazyme with your with your middle meal, and then we have your wrist, back, and neck. Right? We all do this. This is what we do. We have our oils with us, and we use them. We're just using them, and we put in there the mood oils, but choose your favorite. Right? Just you start to know what you need and what you want to be working with through the day, putting it on your wrist, and diffusing your oil of choice. And then we get to the evening, right? Again, layering on the bottom of your feet. So now move up to, I usually start people with lavender, keep it simple, but now you can work with, I like 2 different variations. The first one is Serenity and Vetiver. So I layer them. I do Serenity first on the bottom of the feet, and then Vetiver. It's a wonderful combination. And then since I heard Dr. Hill, he mentioned his favorite combination for sleep was Balance and Cedarwood. And I've been using that, and that's really wonderful. So I do Balance first, and then Cedarwood. And we know Cedarwood is, I didn't mention it. It's high in linalool. Lavender, basil, coriander, and cedarwood. So cedarwood is high in linalool. It acts like lavender. It is a GABA receptor antagonist. It helps, basically it's an anti-anxiolytic. It works like Xanax. So both of those, lavender and cedarwood, have that neurochemistry pathway. So it's pretty cool. And so when you're working with those oils and you're putting them on the bottom of your feet before sleep, you're actually, by smelling them in, you're getting them into your neurochemistry for bed, and you're calming your nervous system. You're going to sleep. It is wonderful. And of course, diffuse by the bed. Hey, there you go. Oh, and then optional. That's it, right? In the green, we have Mitomax. That's something where I have slides on this. Oh, frankincense, I already talked about frankincense before. I wanted to put this in because, do I have it down here? All right, I didn't put it in here. It'll go in the next one. I do drops of frankincense under my tongue before bed. That is definitely part of my daily routine, on top of even taking the DDR capsules to support that NF-kappa beta process in my brain, that anti-autoimmunity, just helping with cellular inflammation. So that's a process I do, but you can just be working with the back of your neck. You can be diffusing. Mitomax is really lovely. The things in here that are different, that are not in the LLV, are cordyceps and ashwagandha. And these are wonderful, wonderful herbs. Cordyceps is actually a mushroom, and it's one of the coolest mushrooms of all the mushrooms. And it's very well known in Chinese medicine, and it's phenomenal for helping to promote longevity, increase energy. And ashwagandha, similarly with Ayurvedic, these are big adaptogenic herbs, kind of for overall energy and immunity, and working with the cells. So this is a wonderful one to work with if you do have adrenal exhaustion, and which I don't know anyone who doesn't, but I put it there in the optional because I prioritize the LLV and the DDR and the Terrazyme first. And once someone's used to taking all those pills, then I say, go at it with the Mitomax if you want to add it in. But really, I kind of prioritize the other ones first. The phytoestrogen, if we have a whole hormone balancing protocol, and that's one that I bring in sometimes depending on, I start off with the oils and the other things first, and then depending on the symptoms, we can bring that in. So that's what's in, and it's very, very helpful. Helping with those xenoestrogens. and to help you to bring in balance. If working with the Slim and Sassy and the Zendocrine and the Lemon and the Clary Calm is not enough, then try 1 capsule of the phytoestrogen twice a day. And then the Zendocrine oil caps. That's always something for people to bring in as well. And that is really, I think we are, there it is. Yes, we do. Yeah, thank you guys. So there is the encapsulation of Daily Wellness, the Cleanse, and the Daily Wellness Plus. And I hope you guys kind of are able to kind of help you out and run with that and work in protocols with people. So thank you.
Wow, what a day. I have a favor to ask all of you. I want to take your picture. So if you wouldn't mind standing up, and let's see if I can get the whole room. I'll put it on panoramic mode here. Stand here. We'll see you all soon. Thank you.